Now, about Star Wars merchandise, there's a rumor, and we did reach out to Disney Consumer Products, and they never got back to us. Think of that what you will. That they're going to basically yank from existing Star Wars IP, all Slave Leia merchandise and marketing.
Do you think that was part of Carrie Fisher's?
Yeah, I think that was motivated
contract?
by that exchange. Like, I think she made a really big sort of PR move and said, "Don't be a slave."
To Daisy Ridley.
Daisy
the
Ridley.
new
And
actress.
I'm sure Disney was paying attention and was like, we're going to create some goodwill around this. You know?
I think there also has just been a lot of commentary now. People are reflecting and looking back at the legacy of Star Wars, and there have not been many iconic female characters. Leia is, the most recognizable of all of them. And then of Leia's outfits, it's her slave costume that's like the sexy look. And, yes, it's sexy, but the connotations that go with it are, fairly
Why do you
negative
think it's
to
so
young women.
popular then with cosplayers? You go to any convention, and it's like the default to costume for any young woman in shape. They're going as Slave Leia.
I mean, I think it makes
now
people,
it's Harley Quinn.
I think everybody likes attention, and I think it's a way to get attention. At a comic book
I feel like
convention.
we can quickly, spiral downward into conversations we don't necessarily want to get into if we're projecting why any specific person wants to wear that outfit. It is a cool costume, but also it's one of two Leia looks. Really. Like there's when we find her captive with, the white robe and the I almost said earpiece, like earmuffs, but her hair coils.
Her Beats by Dr. Dre.
And then we have, the iconic slave look. It's
nobody
it's just-
cosplays as Hoth Leia with her
I've seen it.
nice little really?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Winter
Yeah.
coat and
No,
anybody has the Bespin Leia? Cloud City
I saw
Leia?
that
That's a nice
couple Comic-Cons ago.
But
I
I
saw
also,
somebody doing
if
Bespin.
you look back at iconic hot nerd women, Carrie Fisher in her slave outfit is a pinup essentially. So I think that's
it was like the new Barbarella, basically.
right. Yeah. So I think that's part of it too. It's had that whole stigma to it. But I do like that people have sort of peeled back the layers on it and been like, maybe we shouldn't be idolizing this. And as we're having a chance to change the Star Wars conversation, okay, let's go back and, let's have the conversation about Leia be the woman who she is now instead of this one rather terrifying moment in her life where she was a captive of a giant slug.
Yeah, she is. I mean, she has said, I don't want to say contradictory things, but she is also at last Comic-Con when she showed up on stage. I think she was asked. There was some commentary I was there for, and she basically said something along the lines of, "I was a slave," or something until I choked the son of a bitch, or something like that. Like she is, she has said sort of like that she didn't let it, I'm trying to remember how she exactly put it. Well, I don't want to misspeak, so I'll just leave it at that. But
I think her message in general is one of empowerment, right? And that's what she's trying to say to Daisy Ridley. And then in turn, I think that's what Disney is trying to say to the public. Like, if they truly do retire this, I think they're doing it quietly because I think there's also a contingent of Star Wars people who that's important to. It's like, oh, this is iconic imagery from Star Wars
and
that
I've
attached myself to.
As a business thing, I mean, if you look at it from their maybe cynical business side, you're losing money, but for doing the right thing, but you're losing money. But I guess another question I have is, and it's just something I see more and more in general now, like whenever there's something that we now find distasteful or has become controversial, the idea is to just wipe it like it never happened. Like suddenly now it's, it might as well be Nazi paraphernalia.
I think there's a difference between not continuing to produce something and erasing it entirely.
But they're saying they're going to remove it from Star Wars IP.
Yeah, so it's not
that
going to
means it's not going to be in
comics or any of that stuff.
It's not going to be in any books. It's not
they're not going to relate back to it. I think that's probably, if this is true. This is all still a rumor. We haven't heard back in any other way.
Yeah.
Several people have supported it though. So it sounds like it's the truth. I mean, it is, I think, for some fans, going to be like, hey, this is just part of the thing, and it was in there, and it deserves to, have its place. I think it's just like they're saying, we're done with this part of it.
Yeah,
we're not going to produce more.
Years.
If you have a desire to see this, it's there in the past.
Right.
And then you can move forward from here.
I think if they take that scene out of the movie, then that's when we should
I would be really,
pitchforks.
really up in arms if they were
that was like not
if they did
a
that.
They've altered the
Absolutely.
movies in other ways. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Maybe they would tweak the look, but we're just speculating. We're getting far afield.
Yeah, I don't actually think that they would go that far, but I do think, for them quietly, not so quietly, if this rumor proves to be true, but just sort of like phasing out and phasing into a new era of Star Wars where we don't need to keep lingering on the Slave Leia of it all, then that's fine. It's a new time for Star Wars. We have plenty more to look forward to. Yeah.
Now we did get those new character posters this week, and there was a video put up on the site
to recreate them.
where proving no detail is too small for somebody to just talk about. So we see that Leia is kind of back in front of that, almost like the command center kind of map stuff. What do you think of basically like she's like back on war footing? She's like a war commander again, like even her outfits that we've seen and everything.
That's the most interesting reveal from any of those posters, because I think most of them were just a straight up look at the characters, but that was actually like, number one, they're at war. It's not a smaller story, seemingly, right? It seems like it's still a bigger story where they're still battling First Order or whatever. Right. I guess you could surmise that from the battle footage,
the trailers,
and stuff like
because
that.
We've seen the X-wings.
But the fact that she's instrumental in the battle plan still kind of shows you where the rebel forces, I don't know if you call them rebels, the resistance forces still are and still operating 30 years later. I think that's kind of interesting. I think also puts her right back in that command position that we saw her in. I would say mostly in Empire, where that's where she was probably the strongest character in that setting, because she was commanding people, she was like being looked up to by everyone around. So
she sort of went out into the field then in Jedi too. I think that's still, we see that continuing there.
Have you ever seen cosplay, the Endor Leia cosplay? I'm surprised.
I've seen some Endor people, but I don't know if I've seen the indoor smock. What is that thing called?
Like her camouflage kind of like hoodie.
Poncho.
Yes,
yeah. Where I was like the camouflage poncho. I've seen
of
it.
All the of all the iconic looks in Star Wars, I think the Endor smock is not.
Well, I'm just surprised nobody's got like a mom and her kid haven't gone as like Leia and Wicket.
Oh,
that'd be a cute little cosplay.
I bet they have. If
you've
seen it, send
let us know.
Yeah, seriously. Let's move on from Star Wars.
I will say, because I keep an eye out for cosplay at every convention. I am like disturbingly upset. Well, not disturbingly upset. That's really, really harsh. I just want to see more Ewoks, man.
Yeah, why do people hate Ewoks so much?
They don't there's barely any Ewoks.
It's so lame. It's like, wait a minute, Star Wars is for kids? It was always for kids, man. You were a kid when you saw it, and then you grew up, and now you started like, oh, that stuff's not cool anymore. They're trying to like...
indefensible.
I think like if you could bring your dogs to conventions, then they could be Ewoks.
Right? Yeah. Oh, there's some really, really cute dogs.
I feel like when you're a kid, you want to be like the cool fighter Leia or the cool fighter Jedi.
I always wanted to be Han, but then I think in actuality I'm not as Han as I think I am.
I feel like you've got some Han. Don't worry about it.